Hello, everyone, and welcome again to another episode of Liberal White Dudes. I am Andrew.
I'm Jared.
I'm AJ.
And we are Liberal White Dudes. Pardon me while I center us in the screen.
Okay.
So tonight's episode is Megachurches, and we'll be getting to that in a moment. But first, let's chat a little bit about a couple of things that have happened since our last show. We sort of teased the last show that there'd be an impeachment between our last show and this one.
Yep.
There has been.
There was one.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We're 2 for 2 on that.
Historical, man.
Yeah.
The only president. That's a lot of firsts with this president.
Yeah.
That is a biggie, though, right there.
It's probably my favorite.
Yeah, it's my favorite of the first.
Of the records
Of
that he's set. You know, not the flying a Confederate flag in the Capitol or
right.
You know, any
Incitement
number of
to
other
insurrection.
things. Yeah.
Yeah.
The 20th century.
First one to, you know, openly brag about sexual assault.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, there's certain firsts that I'm not a huge fan of. This one,
right,
though.
Definitely. Yeah,
well
this
done.
is a good one.
Yeah, mocking a disabled reporter at a rally. That's a first. I was not a fan of it.
It's not great.
Not my favorite, no.
Not a great thing.
List of things.
First things a president every day.
Also coming out since our last show was that our former mayor of New York City and lovable nitwit, Rudy Giuliani.
Lovable, laughable Rudy Giuliani.
Will not be getting paid. Have you guys heard this?
No.
So
No,
Trump is
apparently
telling
he's,
people, his aides, to not pay Rudy Giuliani's bills for the traveling that he did to the various places to, you know, go against the election and all that kind of stuff.
Wow.
He's like, hey, don't pay that guy.
Apparently, Rudy was doing this all pro bono.
Yeah.
Was not aware. Not aware.
Oh, dear.
A lot of takes on that. People are like, imagine being the one person who thought they were going to get paid. You know, like he has a history. This is not off-brand for Trump to not pay people who work for him. That is like very, very on
That's part of his bag.
Yeah. So
amazing. Just
love
so
that piece of news.
Such a delicious little cherry on this fucking Sunday that we're devouring right now. That is the end of the Trump administration. I mean, that is just hilarious.
Yeah, it's uplifting.
Then, kneecapping their own people is
I mean,
an interesting thing, interesting tactic.
Yeah, they are the kind of group that will immediately start eating their own. I mean,
right. In that report, though, I heard one of the statements I heard was that he still is likely to be on Trump's legal team for his impeachment trial.
Yeah, we'll see how that all plays out.
Right. I was like, don't count those particular chickens.
Yeah.
He's gonna phone it in.
Getting paid. Getting paid. So I don't know.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Sidney Powell's probably available though. Sure, you can give her a ring.
Presumably, if she's not disbarred before those proceedings start.
Right, pre that,
I do want to see a lot of disbarments and there's so much. I mean, they caught the guy in the camp Auschwitz. Sweatshirt.
Caught that guy.
Yep, identified and caught that guy.
Good.
Good.
You know, they just continue to identify and catch people who were there. So that's great.
Saw really a fantastic video. I don't know who put it out, but I think it was Daily Show. I'm not sure. That could be wrong. But it had kind of like a super clip of some of these protesters getting arrested at airports and things like that. And they had like Goodfellas, like Layla playing over the back. And you're just watching these like white suburban moms in yoga pants, like just sobbing as they're getting dragged away by U.S. Marshals. And it's just like,
what did you expect?
What you get.
What did you expect, man?
What you get.
Totally insane-y. They push me out and mace me.
There was something I saw too, where people were talking about we're talking about the energy that people had at the insurrection at the Capitol, where people were like, "Oh, it's just a fun thing that we're doing. We're fun and we're working together." And it's like, really? That's like
working together to destroy our democracy.
Yeah, you have soccer mom energy about overthrowing American democracy. That's such a weird take. Such a weird place to come from.
It's a weird place for that to come from,
Yeah, so many people just not recognizing the gravity of what they've been involved in, what they've been rooting for, what they've been,
Yeah. in a way,
legally
it's sort
accused
of
at this point.
right. But in a way, it's kind of like with Rudy Giuliani. If anybody expected to get paid, it was definitely him.
Yeah.
With these people, these insurrectionists, these domestic terrorists that stormed the Capitol, were, I guess, really truly believed, even though they had no clear, leadership other than the directives they received from the president and others. But there was no real plan, obviously. I don't know what they thought if they just infiltrated the Capitol and in some cases murdered these officials. They thought that they would be pardoned by King Trump. I don't know what
so I finally found some endgame stuff.
Okay.
And by I found it, I mean it was delivered to me by the internet. People who actually go and find stuff were like, yeah, here you go. Here's the information you wanted. And I'm like, thanks. But there were parlor things and other places where people did have an end game, where the idea was they killed all these elected officials and just put Trump in charge. I mean, that's how they thought this might go down.
Jesus.
Yeah, like an actual coup where he's still commander-in-chief of the military forces, so they don't have to worry about that. And all these elected officials who don't agree with him have been silenced permanently. And now we have, Trump back for however long he wants to be. I guess. And it's not like the map for that, the diagram for that doesn't exist anywhere. It exists in other countries.
Yeah.
I mean, right. I was just gonna say some he probably described as shithole countries.
Yeah.
Ironic, I think.
Desperately trying to make us a shithole country.
Right. Doing everything they can.
Yeah. In some ways, he has absolutely succeeded.
Yeah. Oh my gosh! Just look how some of the other countries are reporting on America right now.
Yeah.
It's a joke.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of them, it's with that smug because you've been talking to us from this moral high ground that you have now definitely given up. So it's like,
I can't blame them.
Tell us again about how our government should be different.
Yeah, exactly.
It's that Gene Wilder, Willy Wonka meme of, oh really?
Yes.
Tell me again how democracy works.
Yep.
Son of a bitch.
So yeah, Giuliani not getting paid is pretty great.
Yeah.
Big fan of that. Last thing I want to touch on before we dive into just really dunking on megachurches is the vaccine rollout. I have been harboring a lot of anger with how this has been going because the government is spending a lot of time making sure that no one who doesn't deserve it or shouldn't get it yet skips the line. And I am honestly in favor of sending out armed troops with doctors tackling people in the street and injecting it in their arm rather than have it go bad. It's like that we've only got like 30% of all that's been distributed actually distributed, and some of it's going bad. Like the idea that even a single dose of this vaccine goes bad is abhorrent to me.
Yeah, some of these doses need to be kept at such extreme cold levels that these little down-home pharmacies literally don't have the storage for them. And I keep hearing reports about how the amount of doses we have is not the problem. We've got a lot of doses and many more on the way. We just need to administer the shit out of them.
It's bureaucracy surrounding making sure nobody who shouldn't get it gets it. Yeah, I mean, I read an article about how right now the one dose, because right now both the vaccines that are out require 2 doses. The one dose from Johnson & Johnson's in stage 3. They might get emergency availability in February. I'm like, that's awesome. Go, get it all out there. Yeah. But they're talking about how they're making sure people who are even in the trial can't unblind themselves, meaning you don't know whether or not you got the placebo or you got the vaccine. You can't unblind yourself until you would have been able to get the vaccine because they don't want anybody to jump the line. And I'm just like, people who are willing to participate in the phase 3 trial of an experimental vaccine,
jump the line.
Jump the line.
Yeah,
if the line has already gotten to Marco Rubio, a vaccine denier and a mask denier and a COVID denier, if it's already gotten to him, I feel like, where's the line? Like,
Damn right. Agreed.
So, yeah, I feel like, have you seen the movie In Time, Justin Timberlake?
I like that one.
Yeah.
I have not seen that film. No,
it is
but don't worry about spoilers.
Fantastic movie. Yeah, little spoiler if you want to jump ahead. Many followers who don't follow and watch Justin Timberlake movies. I feel like the Venn diagram there is this is a thin sliver on the outside.
I don't think you're worried about
people who watch our show
too.
and don't watch Justin Timberlake movies.
Yeah, it's
Does
basically
that person
it's the
exist?
same circle. It's the same circle.
Yeah, it's pretty
Spoil
close.
away. Spoil away.
But basically, it's based off of time is the currency. Okay, you learn that really on. That's not really a spoiler, but there's a place in the poor town where they're giving away time. It's like a church, but of philanthropy, that type of thing. They put a sign outside that says, "We have time." People come get it. They give it to people in whatever, and then they put out of time on their like no vacancy basically.
Yeah,
that's what we should be doing with the vaccines.
Yeah,
we have the vaccine, and you drive through. We stick it in your arm. We give you a card with when you can come back for your second dose, all that stuff, all your information. Give you that card.
And
next
move
person.
It along.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
I don't
distribute
care who's
it.
in that car.
I don't at all. Some people are so like, we need to really, really prioritize the elderly because they're the ones who are dying from this. And they're not the ones going out and spreading it all over the place. If we prioritize the people in our neighborhood, the dumb people, the people who refuse to wear masks, if we prioritize the people who keep moving this all over our damn country, we'd be done with it. You're prioritizing people who are bedridden, who are not the ones carrying the virus. I definitely agree with frontline workers, essential workers. All those people who have to be moving around, right? But people are choosing to move around. You have a vaccine curfew. They're having a party too late. Bam, vaccine. Bam, you've been vaccinated. Just make it really aggressive.
I'm digging this campaign idea. That's not bad.
Yeah, it's so weird to me too because it's like the reason that the elderly people do get it is not because they're like out and partying with a bunch of the other elderly people. It's because someone who isn't elderly comes in after having been somewhere else. So get that guy. Get that guy or lady or whatever. Get that person.
Yep.
Just.
So yeah, I agree with attacking hospitals first. People are coming in contact with people who have it all the time. Obviously.
Yes, exactly.
There are parts that make sense, but then once pretty much everybody I know who's in the medical field has gotten their first dose. Like they're doing that pretty well. But as far as stopping Joe Blow because you don't think he should, why? It's not because we're not running out. And I get you don't want to, but
right now we're
letting people vaccinated.
Right now we're letting them go bad.
Yeah.
It's so much worse. It's so much worse.
That's so much worse. Everyone needs it anyways.
Yeah.
Just give it out, damn it.
You gotta keep them vaccinated.
Yeah.
We must sing that on this show, so that's 2
Agreed.
songs already. All right. Megachurches. Like them or hate them, AJ. Love them? I didn't add that as an option.
I'm the son of not one but 2 ministers. It's a whole other story. And was raised in the church all my life. I say this with all sincerity. Megachurches, the leaders of these, and televangelists alike, are the scum of the damn earth. I loathe them. I loathe everything about what they do.
So not on the side of megachurches.
Yeah, not pro megachurches. Weird.
That's my empathetic listening. I like to listen, take it in, and then try and rephrase it to see if I'm hearing you correctly.
You are hearing me correctly. I'm not a fan, to put it mildly.
Yeah. Me neither. The Bible is, especially the New Testament, which most of these megachurches, that's what they're teaching off of. Is the New Testament. These aren't, Old Testament only churches.
Right.
If you're familiar with how churches work.
Or familiar with Christianity.
Yeah, in general.
These aren't churches in the Old West, know. Where...
Yeah.
And just to catch people up a little bit on the history of that, there was this guy Jesus, and he did these things.
Yeah, I did some things.
So that's the Cliff Notes.
People thought those things were cool.
Because again, a Venn diagram, people watching this show that don't know what Christianity is, I feel like not a lot of
minimal
bounds there. But so there's a lot of things in the Bible, though, like as an example in the book of Matthew, where it says it's easier for a camel to fit through the eye of a needle than it is for a rich man to enter the kingdom of heaven.
Right.
That's a pretty clear indicator.
Pretty clear anti-rich people, pro-poor people.
Yeah.
Dead to, like that. They're just right there.
Yeah, there is one instance in the Bible reported where Jesus Christ himself got violent, got physical. And that's when business folk were up in the church selling bullshit. And he got physical about that. Pretty anti, the mixture of that extreme capitalism with his message.
Yeah.
Not a fan, obviously. So there's a pretty clear, obvious,
Come to our big glittery stadium. Get yourself some Jesus merch on the way out. Don't forget to drop your wallet in the basket on the way
in
by,
the receptacle.
by the way. Yeah, because
3D glasses and wallets in the receptacle by the door.
Papa needs another watch.
That's right. Do not forget to, or a new jet. Don't forget to set yourself up with one of those sweet monthly donations where it just comes right out of the account, right into our wallet, tax-free, of course.
Yeah.
Because that's what Jesus would want, first of all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seed faith. Seed faith.
Yeah. There were.
Don't get me started on seed faith. Oh my God. Holy shit.
For those that don't know, the idea there is that you send me $10 because then the universe, by Jesus' blessing, will drop that on you tenfold. You won't just
multiply that somehow.
You won't just be down $10.
You'll be up spiritual bucks.
Yeah, I would like to say this is just the point where I would like to point out probably one of my biggest bugaboos with this industry, and that is, aside of the predatory nature of them, which we can definitely talk about, but it is that there is no requirement at any point by anyone, any oversight committee, any agency, or anyone looking out for these people to go back and say, you didn't make good on that promise. There's no ROI here for these people.
Yeah, GoFundMe has a better
exactly.
System of checking to see that you used the money for what you said you were. Than these multi-million-dollar
outrageous claims from their television screen that they can cure your cancer, that they can solve all your debt, that they can do all these things, and they are not required at any point to actually prove that they can do those things. But they certainly can take your money, and every bit of that is fucking legal.
Yeah.
And it's
tax-free.
Disgusting.
Yeah.
Yeah. It all go towards things like private jets, or I don't know, Kenneth Copeland's $6.3 million lakeside parsonage, which parsonage is a term used to describe a house provided by the church. That means he didn't pay for the house, the $6.3 million parsonage.
Yeah. So that
the hotel he basically lives
either,
in.
Right.
Right. No taxes on that. That's tax-free. The church covers that.
Yeah.
Makes me want to vomit. Makes me want to vomit just talking about it.
But there is one of the things is I think it was my sister. I was showing her a video of some like songified version of Kenneth Copeland's horrendous preachings, and
he's been great for that.
And she was like,
he really has been great for that.
Yeah, he has been. Good for memes. But she was like, he looks scary.
He's like remarkably scary. Yeah.
Very goblin-esque. It's unfortunate.
You look like a Joel Osteen, and he looks like a pristine, the kind of Southern preacher guy that you expect, right? Yeah. And then you look at Kenneth Copeland, and you're like, yikes!
Yeah.
Which side is he on? I mean, he's saying Jesus-y stuff, but...
Yeah. Now, Joel Osteen, very likable guy, obviously. Of course, the type of guy who's also got to close the doors to his megachurch and resources during a hurricane in his community.
Hurricane Harvey.
Because
he's like, no, not up in my...
Who the hell knows why?
600,000 square foot megadome.
Facility, with all the resources and money that we have to help our community, we're not gonna do that.
They sound like they're just going to cause me damage and
take
not
my money,
pay money to me.
Yeah.
This sounds like what am I, a charity?
That's one of the things that Jesus said. That's one of the things that Jesus said actually was keep all your money and don't help the poor. That was Jesus.
Yeah, that's not in Matthew. That's in Is that John? I think that's.
Yeah, it's probably the book of John.
Somewhere in John.
Like that's one of Jesus's big things, was make sure to keep everything for yourself, be self-centered.
Have a penny.
The most important thing.
Have a penny, keep a penny, need a penny, take a penny. I think that is from Jesus, actually.
That's Jesus.
It kind of
is.
Have a penny, save a penny, need a penny, tell poor people they should give you more pennies. I'm paraphrasing. I don't know.
And then say that
Jesus
those
said.
pennies will turn into more money.
Yes.
Over time. You tell them that, even if it's not true. You tell them that. This is all Jesus. By the way. This is all Jesus quoted.
Yeah.
I know I mentioned earlier the kind of the predatory nature of these guys, and that is such a huge thing because obviously people like you and me, and you know, if you showed some of these video clips to just your regular Joe, they're gonna be like, who would send this asshole money?
I think that all the time.
Freaking plenty, though. As someone who definitely grew up in the church and met a lot of people that would definitely give these people money and have given these people money. I have relatives that have given these people money. That they're the most vulnerable people. You know, there are just horrendous. You can go look into it. There's horrendous stories of people that they didn't get medical treatment. They didn't seek medical treatment for their cancer or their disease. They just watched these televangelists who told them, don't worry about going to the doctor, have the faith. And by faith, I mean that $1,000 that you definitely don't have. Send that to me and have that faith that God is going to heal you.
Yeah,
here, take this piece of... Yeah.
For me, who is a man, you know, of the cloth. Yeah. I am, I mean, what more noble profession is there? So if you send me money, look at you, you know, supporting this mission that I'm on. It shows you're a good person. God will take care of you.
It's like credit card scammers, but like on a level that is so outside of that because of the fact that it's religious. You know, like you can hit so many more people with that because a credit card scammer, anybody who's competent enough with a cell phone outside of like my great grandmother, it's like, you know.
Well, the other thing too is that, well, it's like you said, because it is based in their faith, they also have, and I know this because I have years and years of Christian guilt laid on me. They have the added bonus of that supernatural pressure. There's something bigger here at stake for these people. There's God's message. There is the gospel that needs to get out. There is Christ's message. He's coming back someday. You've got treasures in heaven. You're going to get all of this someday in the afterlife. But right now, it's going to be a little hard for you. They have all this pressure they put on these people.
This may be one place where I can trump both of other people on this show because I have Catholic guilt, which trumps regular Christian guilt. The only person who can come on here would be a Jew who can trump me with Jewish guilt, which we all know.
That's Old Testament.
That's way better.
Well, everyone knows the hierarchy.
Better flavor of guilt.
Yeah.
The more crushing, oppressive guilt.
Certainly doesn't compare to that. Mostly because of just the damnation aspect of it. Yeah. For Christians, it's you know, Catholic guilt a lot stems from your eternal soul.
Right.
Christian guilt, a lot of Christians believe they're definitely going to heaven. It's their relatives that they're led to worry about, their neighbors, their communities, and the work that God needs to do all over the world. And that's why I need this jet, because God has work all over the world. No, this is their message.
I know.
All over the world. And I need
Sorry for continuing to find that message ridiculous.
I did laugh.
Laugh out loud funny. But and that's the whole thing with mega churches in the general sense is that one of the I just want to say lies that they told us that they need this bigger, glitterier stadium to bring more people in, you know. Right. But honestly, they could do this.
Yeah, what we're
doing right now for free if they really cared about saving souls. And the people to be saved. I used to work at a radio station, actually, where live church would go on the air. 10 a.m. in the morning. If it went on at 10:01, the phone was ringing. There was this old lady who was always like, "Where's church?" My boss hired me. He said, "You better make sure that stuff's on at 10 a.m. because at 10:01 you're getting a phone call where an old lady says, 'Where's church?'" And the first time that was on at 10:01, she calls and I answer it, and I laughed at her a little bit because my boss's impression of her was dead on. It was spot on. No hello, no anything. Just, "Where's church?" But that lady, she wasn't paying anything for church, you know? Like,
free.
Yeah.
And
please tell me your response to her, though, was, "Ma'am, there hasn't been church on this station in 40 years.
Just really spiraled this random old lady.
Sorry, that was just the thing.
I didn't have that in my heart then.
Exactly.
I'm not saying I wouldn't do that now.
Right.
I would probably
but yeah,
sit around thinking about ways to mess with that lady.
And a lot of these people, and I think a lot of them, getting back to like televangelists, because that is their bag. Because like if you got cable, if you got YouTube, you've got church. So they know that, and so that's why they push. That's why these prosperity ministries. That's why every freaking message is send us money.
Yeah.
Because that's the only way they're gonna get the money. Yeah, they do got people there too, but they know that where they're getting that money in mass is obviously the message they're putting out to the people in living rooms that are watching this for free. And that's even a little more added guilt to grandma.
Yeah.
Who's sitting in her living room thinking, you know what?
I haven't paid for church.
I only have this fixed income, but I need to sow these seeds.
Yeah,
so Lord will bless me.
Yeah,
and this guy gets on his jet. Yeah.
So I have to send money to them to make sure that I'm like supporting my guy. See that guy?
Supporting it, right?
Because old people too have. I've noticed, at least with the old people that I know, is they get very attached to people, even if they don't know them, that are kind to them, like overly kind to them. So if you're playing that sort of Southern gentleman whatever on TV, like, oh, that's that's my pastor, that's this guy who's whatever, pick your name out of a hat.
They see them as their pastor.
Yeah,
they see them as their pastor because that's how they sell themselves to these people. Yeah.
It's just horrendous. I mean, the accumulation of wealth in Jesus' name just doesn't make any sense to me.
No.
Most of
and saying that, he needs this money. I was just reminded of that George Carlin quote, or I'm not going to quote it perfectly, but I know he says something along the lines of, Christ can do all these things, but apparently he just can't handle money. Like that's a weakness.
Yeah.
It's one of his bugaboos. Like, he's great with the miracles. He's great with bad with the checkbook.
Yeah. I mean, with as much money as we're sending him, he could probably hire somebody.
Yeah, right.
Also, Christ was Jewish. Is he really bad with money?
Yeah.
We need calls about that.
Yes.
Stereotypes. That's my second time.
I
already made the guilt comment.
Second Jewish comment this episode.
But it's just horrendous. It's disgusting. And for me, it kills me that all these people know this too. I mean, obviously there are the people that subscribe to this, and there are the people that are on that side that think that that's all totally legitimate. But I would think most people outside of those that are really seduced by this method of evangelism would say that it's pretty bad. And yet nothing has been done. Like, there's no oversight committees. Like I said, there's no regulatory process. John Oliver proved in his expose he did years ago by starting his own church that it's remarkably simple to get these kinds of exemptions, and you really don't need much. And it's really sad. Yeah.
It's one of those things where it's a fine line,
Yeah.
Because do we want the United States of America and the government of the United States deciding what is and what is not a church, or what is and what is not a religion?
Right.
I think we've all said no to that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
And who's allowed to minister?
I think there's
We've
simple...
all said, no, we don't want that either.
Right. I know it's a short answer, and I know there's a lot bigger problems that surround it, but I think one of the easiest and simplest ways to do it, remove the tax exemption. Bottom line. If you want to be an organization that provides ministry to people, healing, bogus bullshit, whatever you're providing them, and you want to get paid to do it, you're going to pay your dues like everybody else. You don't want to do that, get into a different line of work. But tax them. Tax the church at the end of the day. And I guarantee you, the ones that are really in it to help people will stay in it and use that to help people. And the ones that are just in it for the money probably won't be in it much longer.
Probably shuffle off to do something.
Tax the shit out of the church. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, make sure that they're paying their dues like any other business.
Make sure they're paying their dues.
I'm the wrong one to ask.
Business. Yeah. I think,
I think in the multi-million dollar, especially in the multi-million dollar or even $1 million situations, when you have these $1 million corporations that are doing this, just so that Kenneth Copeland can have his nice house. It's like that. It feels like maybe that's what it is. Maybe there's like a bar. Maybe there's like a bar at which a certain point. Because I feel like if you're like a tiny church in a small town and you get like the donations are like what keeps you in business, and you barely like it's like okay, your religious thing, but at the same time it's like millions of dollars. You don't need that for this.
What I would say. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say, you think the free market system should ravage small churches? That's what I'm hearing from Jared.
Well, Well, I was just gonna. Well, to that, I would say that I'm son of a minister. There was a time
Son of
where
a minister.
my dad, where he met in our house. The church met in our house because they could not afford a building. For context here, my dad, while a minister, is not a pastor of a mega church and has never, ever in my life, grew up very poor, has never made any money off of it. And almost everything he does for free. So he's not really a good example of this. But it's a good example of what you're saying, Andrew, which is, what about these guys? The little church. Like, we're going to ravage the shit out of their finances because this asshole has a $6.3 million parsonage. In a sense, yeah.
Maybe we put a cap on it the same way you put on a cap on. Maybe they do get a different tax structure based on being a church. It's just not zero anymore.
Yeah.
And
also,
not zero. I think based on their actual finances. The other problem here is that their finances are the Wild West. The IRS doesn't look at them. Nobody looks at them. Nobody cares. If you were able to look at their finances the way you look at any other business, you could tax Kenneth Copeland's church at a certain rate, and you would tax my dad's church at a certain rate based on the very differences in their ministries. I think that's something that could be managed and could be done and could be regulated.
I'm getting a phone call.
Screwing them.
Church of Scientology. What do they want? That's weird. It's weird that I would just suddenly get that phone call in the middle of this conversation.
Weird timing. Weird timing.
I do. But
the religious mafia.
Here's the way I look at it. You go to the supermarket to buy your cucumbers. You go to church to buy your hope. Either way, you're paying for it. Someone's making money on it. They're providing you with something. You know, if you go to a yogi master, you're going to pay that guy. And I guarantee you that guy's incorporated. And that guy pays taxes. And he's providing you all that spiritual guidance and the hope and the drive and the things that you need to get on with your life. And he's giving you those things. And in return, you're cutting him a check. And he pays taxes on that check. He's no different than the guy who tells you, if you come and you listen and we share the gospel together and you believe, your life's going to be better. It's like, cool, that's fine. And if you give him money because he told you that shit, he should get taxed for that. Bottom line.
Yeah. Bare minimum.
Yeah.
Because it's one of the things too. It's like these are guys just like any other pastor, right? Who have read it and like are preaching it, right? It's not like they are Jesus themselves. Right. If it was literally Jesus, maybe, human incarnate God has some sort of, tax exemption. Maybe we can talk about that. Mm-hmm. But for regular folks who do regular church things, should be taxed. Mm-hmm. Should be putting that money back into the community in some way, back into our system. Please.
Well, like I said, I think the biggest flaw too is that it's like, it's one thing to tithe at your church that you regularly attend because you believe that's how you're getting spiritually fed, and so this is your due. And the Bible tells you to give part of your due to the church, so you're going to do that. But I think it's a totally different animal when it's these mega churches or televangelists that are promising outrageous results based on the money you give them, and there's no one ever to follow up on that. You know what I mean? And I think that's different and should be looked at differently. Just like we can look at Kenneth Copeland's ministries and that one church and that one horse town's ministries differently, but we shouldn't not look at them at all. You know what I mean?
And I don't have a problem with them being famous. And if they were doing good, how much more good would they do if that was what their, the end result was?
Yeah, if we were building a system, if we had built a system where the people that were doing it and doing really well were still doing it for the same reason that, like, your dad was or whatever, where they're doing it for good. Right. They're doing it because they want to share that with people.
The public schools around Kenneth Copeland's ministry were the best public schools in the nation. And the hospitals around his ministry were the best hospitals in the nation.
Best funded, yeah.
Maybe you could even start promising
funded,
people.
Certainly.
Yeah. Maybe even start promising people outrageous stuff because you're the one that's like helping fund the hospitals.
Yeah.
I would just like to say
the best.
If they found a cure for cancer, I'd be like, dude, live in your mansion.
Yeah.
I mean, like I would give and take a little bit there, Yeah. If, but yeah, there's not a lot of evidence there that they're providing more than, I have an uncle who's a priest. He provides, ministry to his folks, and I don't see them providing more than that. And a lot of them I see providing less. They provide a lot of hate and they provide a lot of marginalization.
Exactly.
And they provide a lot of misinformation on COVID-19 in Kenneth Copeland's case. To keep, name dropping him, I guess.
And let me just say, misinformation on the election, misinformation on who's the freaking president.
Yeah.
And that's and this is where it becomes a tax issue again for me.
Yeah.
If you are a church with thousands of members and you go up on a stage and you tell them that you speak to God and he speaks to you directly and you hear his fucking voice, and his voice told you that Trump's supposed to be the president and he is the president, you are not a church.
Yeah.
You're done being a church.
You're a pack.
Yeah, at that point, you're a political machine.
You are a super PAC at that point.
Yeah.
You are not a church.
These are kind of sort of large villainous cartoony things like, you're a super PAC from a mega church. I don't know.
Earth-shattering consequence.
Yeah. So the Iron Man should deal with. You did say a little bit about televangelists, so I do want to remind people of Robert Tilton. John Oliver did a piece on him. He was one of those sow the seed guys and stealing from, anybody who would listen, basically. And it's not stealing. They trick them into giving over the money. Yes, because they're trying to buy hope. They're trying to buy, salvation, as though it was something you could buy.
You could literally buy.
He tells you
they're
it
indulgences.
is. And,
They're literally indulgences.
Yeah.
The con artists.
But he was also the original farting preacher. One of the first viral videos I ever saw before viral videos were a thing. He was the original farting preacher, and that is a fantastic video. So if you've never seen it.
I'm not familiar.
Yes.
Check it out, please.
Yes.
Immediately following this program.
Yep.
Yeah.
Next thing you search.
A nice large helping of farting preacher, because
you know what?
That's good stuff.
Right after this show, I'm gonna check that out. It's been years, but I'm gonna check that out.
I'll drop a little even in here.
Right.
In post. I'll drop a little farting preacher in here for you folks.
Do it.
Because I love our audience so much, as long as they're not watching us live.
I'm just wild enough to do what God said. That's why results happen. I'm not talking about figuring it out with your brains. I'm talking about trusting your heart. And you have faith. You just need to use it, saith the Lord. Hallelujah.
Apparently.
Yeah, apparently. Extra sauce for those people.
Yeah,
it also makes me think
about
live. The televangelist thing really makes me think about, my great grandmother, because I know that she's very susceptible to that sort of thing, just because she doesn't know. She doesn't know.
Like all great grandmothers, I think.
Yes, like all great grandmothers, they're not entirely present. Just, I don't know, just because that's how age works. You get older and you start, forgetting things, and you're not as clairvoyant and whatever else. But it really makes me concerned about that, because if your business can be a predator for those people, I don't feel like your business should be legal. I don't feel like if you can benefit off of being a predator for people that aren't aware enough to be.
There are so many industries that prey on the elderly.
I know, it's just so horrendous.
Yeah. Medical device industries. Social Security.
Yeah. And that's who these people. That's who these people are. It's the same. It's the same thing. They're preying on the most vulnerable members of our society for a quick buck. I mean, look, guys, I don't know if you believe in a hell, but if there is a hell, these guys are going. I don't care what they're telling you, because this is
they
gross,
get my vote,
dude.
Is it democratic?
Yeah.
Is it democratically selected?
I vote for megachurch runners.
Yeah.
I don't care how much you. I don't care how much you. I don't care how much you talk about Jesus when you're telling people that are dying of cancer to send their last $1,000 to you instead of getting the care that they need. You can go to hell if it's there.
Yeah, and you're not lobbying for socialized medicine.
Yeah,
right.
And you're not also you're not also supporting
Universal
the freaking infrastructure that would build that, because you're not paying taxes.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
All right.
How much healthcare could that $6.3 billion parsonage pay for? A lot.
Seems like a lot.
That's the answer.
Maybe could have paid for anybody who showed up the Sunday after he accumulated it.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. I mean, you can do a lot of good with a lot of money. That is absolutely true in our country, and
But people with a lot of money don't tend to do a lot of good for some reason.
yeah, that's why they would have a lot of money in the first place, right?
Figs for these guys, dude, is in the negatives, but I can't do that. So it's going to be a 0 out of 5 figs for mega churches and televangelists.
Yeah, ditto.
I'm going to go 1 out of 5 figs. Both
For the farting preacher.
Content.
The farting preacher gets a fig.
Well, and the COVID-19 Kenneth Copeland remix stuff.
Wow, they'll blow you down.
Yeah. I mean, that stuff's pretty great. Now, they're not directly responsible for it, but it wouldn't exist without them. So,
true. Yeah.
You know.
Okay,
Gotta give them
fair.
at least a half fig for that. That's a good point.
All right. Kicking them 1 fig.
Fair enough.
1 fig in total.
You get
from the three of us.
This entire program gives you 1 fig. We each give 1/3 of a fig. You get 1 fig.
Out of a possible 15.
Out of a possible 15 figs.
I would also like to just take a moment to apologize to AOC.
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
We were not able to fit her into the program this evening.
A lot to get out. I had a lot to get out on these.
Yeah,
guys,
I mean, I put it on AJ. Really had a lot to say about megachurches and give them the business. So I think in sometime in the future we'll carve out some time. Map it out.
We'll get there.
Get her in here.
Once our schedule opens up a bit more.
Yeah, have her talk about whatever our random topic of the night will be. Just not tonight.
Yeah, just
thank you everybody else for tuning in. Feel free to subscribe to us here on YouTube, and then also head on over to our Twitter where we're hilarious and follow us there. And then maybe you could drop in on our Facebook where the content is very much duplicated from the other two and give it a like.
Just for funsies, do that, please.
We are here 6 p.m. Pacific time every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. Thanks again for joining us. Night.